Hey Budget Fam, it's Jordan from Jordan Budgets. Today we are doing a budget video. It has been, I guess, a month since I've done one of these videos, so a little bit has changed. Some income has gone from my budget, some income has come in because I've started an Etsy shop and a YouTube channel. So we are going to break down my income as well as my expenses. So let's get started. Let me just say I am a cash budgeter, so if you are new to the channel and you are unfamiliar with cash budgeting, it is just where we take all of our bills, all of our money from the bank, we divvy it up into our cash binder. So this is one of my cash binders. It's just a really easy way to keep track of your money and to keep track of where your funds are going instead of just sliding a card. So if you are interested in cash budgeting, or if you're a cash budgeter already, I think you will be interested in this video and see how I break everything up. Okay, so first things first, when budgeting, you want to see what kind of income you are playing around with and what you have. I have 3 different incomes that I'm considering for this budget. Now, one of those incomes is the tax credit that families are getting right now. I'm counting that towards my income because that is money that's coming in. I do think it's important to count all sources of income, including little like bonus money, things like that. Otherwise, it may just get lost and you'll start spending it on things that aren't really in your budget and things that aren't really needed. So I have 2 other incomes. One is $1,600. The other is $900. So I'm not going to really get into my full income breakdown on this video. I do have another video coming out because I am making money on YouTube and Etsy as of this month. So that's exciting, but I will break down those numbers in a video that's coming a little bit later. So my total income for October is $3,000. So after we know what income we have, then we can start breaking up our fixed expenses, variable expenses, our debt, or investing, and our sinking funds. So let's take a second and dive into what each of these categories are, just in case you are new to the cash budgeting or new to budgeting in general. Fixed expenses are anything like rent, electric. Those are the monthly bills that come every single month. You cannot do a lot about changing these bills unless it's a phone bill or something that you're paying a ridiculous amount and you can kind of shop around for that. But fixed expenses are exactly what it sounds like. It's fixed and it's going to come every single month. Variable expenses are things like I have in this wallet here. So this is my variable expense wallet that I carry around with me every single day. It's my grocery money, it's my fast food money, my fun money, my gas money, my self-care money, and then my allowance for my boys. Those things you can change up some, but you need to eat, you need to buy gas for your car. That is also like a staple that it's not non-negotiable, but you have to really play around with what you can cut in this one and what you can't. I know when I first started budgeting, fast food was the variable expense that I did not realize I was spending that much, but I was able to cut it down by a lot and I could have money for other things. Debt and investment, I don't have any debt or investments that I'm making right now. I consider my savings challenges my debts and investments. And then, and savings challenges are for some of those big long-term goals. Mine is saving for a moving trip that I'm making, as well as emergency, like an emergency stash of money. Sinking funds are all of those things that come up. They feel like they're random, but you can kind of expect them, right? Like car maintenance, or needing a new phone because yours breaks, getting glasses or contacts, maybe fun money or Christmas money, something like that that you don't necessarily need all the time, but you are going to need it at some point, and it is like you should keep it on your radar. So with all of that being said, now we can break up each section and I can talk about it a little bit more in depth, but I wanted you guys to have a big overview of the funds and how I break up my categories before we get started. Okay, fixed expenses. I'm just going to quickly write down my fixed expenses. Okay, so I am an all cash budgeter, so I do pull out my fixed expenses and I put them in a binder as well. I get a lot of questions about this, so I just want to go ahead and explain that really quickly. So even though fixed expenses like rent, preschool, electric, gymnastics, internet, and water, all of these things are paid online or paid with a card, I have saved a month ahead of time and I pay, so like October, technically, really, I am paying all of October's bills for this on October 1st. So really when I'm going through and saving these amounts in October, I'm saving for November. So everything is already ready to be paid. Another question I get a lot is, how did I save a month ahead? I used a stimulus check to get a month ahead. However, if I were doing it right at this moment, what I would do is I would make a sinking funds, and I'm going to dive into sinking funds in just a minute, but I would make a sinking funds category for bills and figure out what your total amount for bills is. Mine is about $1,650 for all of my bills. I would make a goal to save that much while continuing, like slowly save that much while continuing to pay everything else on time until I have that amount saved. And then the next month I would start basically paying a month ahead. I hope that makes sense. I do get asked a lot about why I pull that amount, and I guess I pay it all on the first, so it's not any trouble to like pull the money and then put it back randomly. Like, I'm putting all of it back on the first. So it's not like I need to run to the bank a lot of times, because I pull all of this money from my cash binder that I have for my bills. I pull all of it, put it in the bank on the first or the day before the first, and then I pay it all right then. So it's not really a lot of extra work. And the reason I do it is because it keeps me from spending that money. If I had $1,650 just sitting in my account, I know me, right? I would easily just be saying, okay, well, I have a little bit of a cushion, I can spend this and then I'll pay it back, and I just don't pay it back. So I go ahead and pull it. That money is claimed and accounted for, and on the first, I put it in the bank and I pay everything right away before I get the chance to spend it. So my rent is $865. Let's go ahead and break down these amounts. I realize that is a great price comparatively to a lot of areas. I do live in Mississippi, and I live in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath with my 2 boys. So that is why that number is pretty affordable. Preschool is $410. My youngest son is in a part-time preschool, and it is worth it for the experience that he's getting. Although it's not a super convenient preschool. Like, it's really more for his experience. Electric, I pay $150. Electric is one of those things that varies just a little bit from month to month, but I do know that my electric is pretty much always right around $150. So I go ahead and pay $150, and then whatever is left in that electric like account on their end, it kind of stays a little bit in the positive amount. And then if I do have a month that, let's say that it goes to 155 or 160, it just pulls from that positive amount. I do go through in the middle of the month and just check and make sure everything is okay on electric. That's the only one I kind of have to keep my eye on. But it's always worked out. I've never needed to go back and pay a second amount to cover a difference. Gymnastics, my boys are in gymnastics, and I pay $100 for them every single month. And then internet, my internet is $70.70. So just for budgeting purposes, I'm just gonna write $70, and then water is $50. I will say, when you first start budgeting, you may not know all of these just automatically like I do at this point, but this is something you really need to write down and look at so that you can realize exactly what your bills are. I will also say, a lot of people will write in these fixed expenses, they'll write things like Netflix or Instant Ink or some of those reoccurring monthly charges, or Apple. I know I have a small Apple fee. I don't write these things down because I do always have a little bit left in the bank. $3,000 is not my exact income. I always leave a bit of a cushion, and those expenses just come out of that little bit of cushion that I leave in there. I do need to go ahead and track all of those just to make sure nothing is coming out that I am not expecting. I do only have a few of those kinds of things that come out. But I'm just mentioning in case you want to go ahead and write down Netflix or Hulu or any of those expenses you might pay for it. Those would be considered fixed expenses. Next, we have variable expenses, which are the things that are in this binder that I just showed. So let me go through and write down those expenses. Okay, so my variable expenses include things like groceries, fast food, gas, fun money for when I want to do something fun with the boys, and then allowance for my boys. So my groceries every single month are about $400. Of course, everything from here on kind of varies from time to time, but I aim for about $100 a week. And since there's 4 weeks in my October budget, I am putting $400 down for groceries. So Fast food, I am budgeting $80. Gas, I am budgeting $120. Fun, I'm budgeting $40, and allowance, I'm budgeting $24. So these expenses change from month to month, but we are going to continue filling all of these out, and then I'm going to explain why I chose these amounts, and it might help you decide how much you need to save and spend on different months, because I am a weekly budgeter. Debt and investment, I don't really have any actual debts or investments at this point. I am considering savings challenges and investment. And I can't write and talk at the same time. Savings challenges are, if you're unfamiliar with this channel, you might want to go check out some of my other videos, but my savings challenges are just fun ways to stuff money every single week towards long-term goals. My long-terms are, I'm making a big move in about 9 to 10 months. I also am saving to build up my emergency savings again, because when all the hurricanes came through my area pretty recently, I did spend a lot of my savings for food and like long-term food storage and that kinds of thing. I don't know that I would consider it a clear investment. I am on a low income, so I don't really have the extra money to be throwing into like long-term, but I'm considering savings challenges and investment on my end, and we're gonna put $400 into savings challenges this month. So moving over to sinking funds, I am going to quickly write down my sinking funds. Okay, so sinking funds. My sinking funds include, I think, a healthy mix of things that I want to save for and things that I have to save for. So things that I want to save for are things like moving. That is not for my big move actually happening. That's what this savings challenge is for. That is for a trip I'm making soon because I just want to check out the area, check out apartments, that kind of thing. Car maintenance, that's not something I necessarily want, but that's a need. Haircuts, kind of a need and a want. It's definitely a need for my boys. And then business, I want to start a paper planner business, and so that is for me, helping me get samples or different paper stock, things just to continue testing out that product before it launches. Sick days is for money for fast food or Lego sets, or I'm naming very specific, like random things, right? For fast food and Lego sets, but that's because that's what I spend my sick days money on. That's not for medication or anything. That is purely for making, when my kids are sick, making it easier for all of us, making it a little bit more fun for all of us. So that's what that sinking fund goes to. New phone. I don't need a new phone right now, but I know at some point I will need a new phone. Glasses for myself and my boys. Okay, so it's myself and one of my children. We need glasses and I wear contacts. So that is not something we need at this very moment, but it's something we will need at some point. Clothes is a need that's coming up soon. Family fun, that is for just different little trips we want to take. We do have a camping trip coming up soon, so that category goes towards that. And then car insurance, car tag, those are obvious needs. Books is for when I like to bulk buy my kids' books. Okay, bulk buy books, that was a lot. So I've gone through the categories, but you'll see I'm not writing exact numbers by this. Sinking funds is basically what I treat this as whatever money is left over for the month that we expect to get for the month that isn't taken up by all of these, what I'm calling like required things. It goes into this amount. So for sinking funds, say I have $100 per week to stuff into sinking funds. Well, if I have $100 per week to stuff into sinking funds, that means things like my moving trip and sick days and new clothes, things that we really want but aren't like a requirement for life. Those will get more money than, say, if we only have $50 left over for the week. Because if we only have $50 left over for the week, then car tag, car insurance, car maintenance, and maybe, you know, glasses or haircuts. Some of those really, really needed things are what's going to get stuffed first. So this is definitely important, but I do not write the exact amount of what's going into it. I make myself pick the priority items like car insurance, car tag, haircuts. I make myself pick those kinds of things if funds that are left over to put into this are limited. So it kind of gives me an incentive to spend less on groceries, to you know, to not blow random money anywhere, because I want to stuff money into my moving trip. That's something that I want to do. So sinking funds are fun because they're a mix of like required things that you know are coming up, and you can go ahead and feel secure that you have the money when you need it. But it also can include some fun things like a moving trip or new clothes or family fun. So it incentivizes you to have more money going towards sinking funds. It also encourages you not to say, well, I need new clothes, so I have to spend any extra money I have this week on new clothes, because that's not really reality. Like, if you really need new clothes, then you could probably go pick up a couple of shirts from a Goodwill or somewhere for, you know, $5, and you're like covered in that. You don't need to spend $100 this week on clothes just because you feel like you need it, you know. And I encourage you, if you haven't yet set up sinking funds lists, or really lists for all of this, go ahead and do that so you can start thinking about what you spend money on and where you need to start saving. For example, glasses. If you guys watch my old videos, you will see I saved for a really long time in order to get myself new contacts, which fell into that glasses category, even though they're contacts. But I saved for a while, and I made myself save for a while to make sure I really needed that purchase. Same thing for clothes. I'm currently saving for clothes because I do feel like I really need clothes as well as my boys. Well, I know if I don't save that money and make that happen, realistically, my boys are going to get new pants and I'm not going to get anything. And so it makes me spend less money on fast food and things. I'm sorry, that was a long rant, but I just wanted to clarify what sinking funds are. And now we're going to go through and kind of tally up these expenses and see how much we're going to have left every single week to put into those sinking funds. So my fixed expenses are $1,000, and I'm just going to put it down here in this little bar. $1,645 per month. We're going to divide that by 4. That means about let's put $412 per week needs to go towards my fixed expenses. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that this number is typically 300, 320-ish, 400 on occasion, but this week we only have 4 weeks that I'm putting towards this budget. A lot of times in the past we've had 5. So I do need to increase those fixed expenses. So what that means as a weekly budgeter is that every single week I will need to put $412 into those fixed expenses categories and envelopes. So I don't wait until things come. I just go ahead every single week, decide how I want to divvy up that money. It doesn't really matter because it's all going to get paid, but it's just, you know, I get to, whatever I'm feeling that week, I get to put that money into that account, and it feels nice to put it in all of the accounts instead of just saying, oh, only 412, that's only like half of rent. You know, it just, I don't know, it sits a little different, feels different. Variable expenses, we have 480, 120, 40, and 24. So our variable expenses are $664 per month, which means per week we need to put in $166 per week to cover these things. If this were a 5-week budget, this would look a little bit different because groceries would have $500. Fast food would have 100, because as you can see, 80, that means 80 divided by 4 weeks. I'm giving us $20 per week for fast food. I'm giving us $30 a week for gas, $10 a week for fun, and then my boys get $3 each per week, so that's $6 per week for my boys' allowance. So if this were a 5-week month, it would be $500 for groceries, $100 for fast food, gas would be $150. So I think it is very important to break up what you need per week. Savings challenges, I like to put $100 into savings challenges every single week. So since this is a 4-week month, we are going to do $400. That means $100 per week is going to go to our savings challenges. Now let's see. Our budget is $3,000. We're going to divide that by 4. So we have $750 per week in our budget. So let's add up what we are spending per week on these, and that will tell us what we have left over for our sinking funds. So we have $412 per week for bills. We have $166 per week for our variable expenses. And then we have $100 for our savings challenges. So that leaves us $72 per week to put into our savings challenges. So unless we come up with some extra income this month, and I may find extra money here and there. I may sell some things and try to get a little bit of extra income so I can put more into our sinking funds. Just for this video's purposes, let's say we only have $72 per week. Well, I know we need clothes coming up, so I may focus a lot of money on clothes. I may only put a couple dollars towards books. I'll put maybe $20 towards car insurance. Because I know what that money is and what that looks like, I know how I can divvy this up. And $72 is less than what we typically have. We typically put $100 per week into savings funds. So we will have to target those like high need areas, and some of the things like maybe glasses or books, things that aren't coming up right away, we know that we need to put those off, or to just put just a little bit, and we won't be getting those things anytime soon, you know. So that is it for my October budget. I hope you found this helpful in some way. I hope it was not too ranty, but if you are a part of my channel, then you know that I tend to talk a lot about all of the things. As always, guys, thank you so much for being a part of the Budget Fam. Thanks for watching this video, and thanks for tuning in with me every single week. I hope you are having a lovely week, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.